Hello again in this installment of Spiritual Wisdom. I'm grateful to all of you who follow me here and of this little community here on YouTube, and I hope you're all doing well. And if you're new here, welcome. I hope you're doing well. My name is Nicholas, and on my channel I talk about witchcraft, Wicca, paganism, self-love, crystals and their magical properties, as well as plants and their magical properties, and I do all kinds of readings here on the channel, and I talk about all matter of philosophical and spiritual topics. So if you're interested in those types of things, you know what to do. Please subscribe, join this amazing community by subscribing, and click the bell icon so you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. And this is a safe place if you're practicing witch, Wiccan, pagan, or whatever spiritual path you may be on, because there's no right or wrong spiritual path. Now, I'm a very spiritual person, but I am an eclectic pagan witch. And I've not been talking about witchcraft on the channel for quite a while, but I thought I would do this by talking about a witchy topic, how my perspective. Now, witchcraft should be personal to you, the practitioner, and when you're doing things, your heart should be involved in the work you're doing. And this is where why comes in. Why is very important in witchcraft. Not just witchcraft, like of course if you're a witch, it's very important to ask yourself, like, why am I doing this? Like, if someone said you were going to do a money spell and you read a spell book, you could tweak that spell, but it might say, like, use a green candle, anoint your candle, and then use these types of herbs. But you could tweak the spell. You could use a purple candle if purple resonates with money for you, and you know why you're using purple. And then you could go, I'll use these herbs because personally I've meditated with these herbs, or I've felt these herbs' energy, and for me these herbs symbolise money and wealth, and I have them available to me. So, you can tweak. But a lot of people tend to do what's trendy, and I get it through magic and through the law. There are many laws of the universe, like the law of attraction. Through magic, spellwork, a lot is possible. It's really through magic and spellwork you can manifest your dreams, your desires, through the law of attraction. And in this day and age, these types of spiritual things are everyone sort of knows about them, or they're very trendy. And the good thing about that is a lot of people know about them. A lot of people were interested in these types of things. There's a lot more, because they're that popular. People are interested, can meet up, can share different points of views and beliefs. That's all well and good. The sad thing is, when things are trendy, people just follow it as a trend, and then they don't understand why they're doing what they're doing or where it came from, that type of thing. One example of this is the cinnamon spell. Now, it's not a spell, so to speak. It's more of a ritual, the cinnamon spell. I'm calling it cinnamon spell. Cinnamon ritual. Okay, the cinnamon ritual is something that's it's very trendy. A lot of people on TikTok make shorts about it. Even on YouTube, people make long form videos about it, or even shorts talking about blowing cinnamon at your front door the first of the month. Now, if you're in witchy and pagan circles, you know what I'm talking about. If you sort of are on the journey, it might be a new subject we've heard about, blowing cinnamon at your door at the first of the month. Now, I think it's a beautiful tradition, it's a beautiful practice, but it's modern. Ancient Celtics were not blowing cinnamon at their door, and the ancient Romans, Greeks, they were not doing that. It's a very modern practice now. And hoodoo, which is a closed practice, voodoo, hoodoo, these are closed practices. You have to be, if you were African American, or you were born, you're African, or you were African American, or were initiated into that way of life. Now, if you are people from, if you were a different, you're from a different culture, like someone like me, Nicholas, who is, I'm a white European man, voodoo, that is a closed practice for me, very closed, because if you're not African American or of a different race, colour, that practice is closed to you. It's not open to you, and it's a beautiful religion, voodoo, but it is closed. It's only open to certain people under certain circumstances. If you are of a different race or nationality, you could be initiated into that tradition, that way of life. Some people are born into it, depends, but it is a religion. And like blowing powders at thresholds or doorways, you do see a lot of that in hoodoo practices, a lot of that. But that is closed. Their recipes and things, what they do, that's spirits connect to it. That's their practice. Just like as witches, we've got our own spirit guides, our own deities, what we work with. And of course, because witchcraft is a practice, and voodoo is a religion. There will be hoodoo witches. There will be people who are voodoo priestesses, or they follow the voodoo religion, but they practice witchcraft as well. There will be that. But in modern witchcraft, this is a very modern practice, but a lot of people put misinformation about it, and everyone does it. It doesn't, if you blow cinnamon at your front door, but you've got no knowledge, no understanding, like, okay, this is a new month, I'm blowing cinnamon at the threshold of my door, I'm saying this chant, but I've got no reason, because everyone else is doing it on YouTube or TikTok or that, then it's not really going to do anything for you. It's not really going to bring anything to you, because you're just following a trend. You don't really have a connection to the practice or like why you're doing it. Now, I do the practice, blowing cinnamon at my front door. I will talk about why I do it and the practice, but for me, like a new month. Now, some witches will do this practice and they've got the reasons behind it and they know why they're doing it. And they might follow the moon cycle, like it's a new moon. They might do this ritual under a new moon. Or when the moon's growing, they might blow cinnamon at the front door when the moon is growing, like at a crescent waxing moon or even a half waxing moon, because the moon's growing. So they might tie this ritual in with a moon cycle. Some witches do tie it in with a new month. Me personally, I tie it in with a new month because for me a new month means new beginnings, new opportunities. Because what happened in March brought good things as well as bad for a lot of people. And in April, you don't know what's in store in April. April will have blessings as well as not so nice things. But you can bring good energy in. And then your doorway has liminal space. And when people come into your home, good, bad, they leave energy with them. And of course, and also before you blow the cinnamon, I would recommend like taking protection wands down. I take mine down, and then you're blowing that good energy into your home. You could use other herbs as well, but it's a modern practice. But a lot of people will do it just because it's trendy, without understanding their personal reason why. Same with tarot. Tarot is beautiful. It's not a closed practice. Anyone can study tarot. There's 78 cards in tarot. Anyone can study it, work with it as a divinational tool. Because that's what it is. And there's lots of ways tarot can be used. You can use it in spells, you can use it in divination. But it's important to learn what the cards mean for you. Like, yes, research the traditional meanings, but then meditate with each card and learn what that card means for you, type of thing, rather than just following someone else's gnosis or someone else's advice. Now, I've talked about the cards here, and I do encourage. I never finished that series, but I'm going to revisit the series because I've learnt more about tarot. And I would say if you love tarot like I do, you continue to learn more about it. But a lot of people just do things, and a lot of people are beginner witches because when you're a beginner witch, you do want to learn everything. And you're not going to learn everything in the space of a year or that, because as you learn the practice, the craft, you're constantly learning and growing. But you really want to learn so much, you want to do so many spells, so many different, you're so interested in so many things, you want to dabble into so many things. But it's important to understand your reasons why as well. It's the same with like oregano. Now, oregano is known as the herb of happiness and joy, but um, when it comes to like oregano's an easy herb to get from your local supermarket. But what I would highly recommend is like what I done in my practice, but I would encourage you doing it your own way. You could grow an oregano plant from seed. You could buy dried oregano and you could put it in a bowl. That's what I done. I put it in a bowl, dried oregano, stirred it, and asked the spirit within it to awaken. And then I meditated with it for several days. I placed my hand over the bowl, then with my prayer beads, which I like to use in meditation, and this plant would tell me things through my clairvoyance, and I could see what I could see gods of the sun and male deities. I could see the masculine symbol, and that was the plant's way of telling me it connects to the masculine energy in the universe. And I could also see the sun in my mind's eye, so that was the plant's way of telling me it connects to the sun. I could see fire in my mind's eye, and that was the plant's way of telling me what it connects with fire as well. Because when it comes to correspondences, you could read about correspondences online, but then you could blindly follow them. But then I would say if you just blindly follow something, it's not going to really impact your spell. Your spells are not going to have that oomph, that power, because you're just following what someone else read, or you're just following what someone told you to do. You don't understand why you're doing it, you know? Even rosemary, like some practitioners will say, oh, you can just substitute with rosemary for any spell. And I don't really agree with that either. Like, yes, rosemary does have certain correspondences, certain magical elements, but I would say you want to have a connection with the herbs you're working with, and you can grow your own herbs, your own plants, and some plants, even if you go right, even if you go out, and you don't have to. Witchcraft, I think a lot of people when they start out, even when I started out, a lot of people think in order to practice witchcraft, you need a lot of stuff. Like, you need a lot of these crystals, you need a lot of these herbs, plants. No, you don't need to spend a lot of money on it. You build up over time. And I think when it comes to herbs, a lot of the herbs I've worked with, some of them are spices as well. I would buy them from a local supermarket, and I would place them on my altar on a special bowl, and I would speak to the plant. Even though it's a dried plant, it still get energy, still is a spirit. I'd speak to it, and I would say, sacred plant, as I connect with your energy through meditation, let me know your energy. As I meditated with that plant, I would write down my gnosis, and as I'm very clairvoyant, that plant would give me certain images, and it would tell me things through imagery, and I would write down what I could see and what the plant was telling me. And oregano, I meditated with it for about 21 days. I love oregano. It's a great herb for healing. It's a great herb for medicinal healing. Like, it's great to prevent toothache. If you've got toothache, it helps with that. It builds your digestion, and it helps with your digestion, and it builds the immune system as well, oregano. But magically, for me, it's a herb of happiness, joy, and it connects to the sun and fire. But it's important when it comes to the craft, where you don't just do things because you saw it on YouTube or you read it in a book, where you actually have a personal connection to what you're doing, where it's not just trendy, you know? Because I do get witchcraft, it is beautiful, there are trends. Even if you use a wand, like, you want to know why using a wand. Because having a wand is great. When I started out, I would use sticks, but I was drawn to as wands. Then a good friend of mine, who I grew up with in a really personal bond, they gave me this shillelagh stick, and it was a small shillelagh stick wasn't big or something you'd hang in the wall. It was like a shillelagh stick. I don't have it with me, but I'll show you it in later videos. But it was a small shillelagh stick, and I used that as a wand, you know, because I like the idea of like holding a wand, and then I like to ground center and direct energy out for a wand. And when I first started out in the craft, I done that not because it was trendy, because I understood a wand was a great tool to direct energy out and to cast a magical circle. So when I would use a wand to cast a magical circle when I felt there was a need for it. I didn't cast a magical circle every time I done a spell or ritual, because you don't have, personally for me, I do love the idea of a circle, and you know, but I never always casted a circle with spells and rituals. And when me and my auntie done a lot of spells together, I didn't cast a circle before we done the spell, but it still worked. And me and my auntie done like a lot of money spells together, but were successful. There were personal rituals I done where I casted a circle, and I felt there was a need to cast the circle, and it still worked as well. But I really feel, and my message here is to do things because you've got a connection to them. You understand why, and you're not just doing it because you read it online or read it in a book, but you've got a heartfelt connection to it. And I feel meditation is a useful tool. Also, a lot of us as witches, we learn this in the beginning, which is energy sensing, how to feel energy. Now, a simple way would be if you've got a plant in the garden that you're drawn to, or you go into nature, you can rub your hands together, right, which will build energy up, because as your two hands touch, that's building energy, it builds heat up. Then you can shake your hands as if they were wet and place them over an object. That could be a crystal, it could be a plant in nature. You might feel your hands tingling. Now that is a method that works for me, may work for you, but there's other methods as well when it comes to energy sensing. Because one method, and even if I done an amazing spell that worked for me, doesn't necessarily mean to say it'll work for you. And you could do a spell with one ingredient, you know, but more often than not, there's a reason why we use those ingredients. Intention isn't everything. There's usually a reason why we use certain intentions and colours. But my message here is really that witchcraft is not meant to be trendy. I know it is trendy right now, and that's a good thing in a way, because it makes it more accessible to people that are starting out, for people that are interested. But the sad thing is, with something being trendy, it loses its depth and meaning, because people do practices and rituals, but they don't understand why they're doing them. It's the same with I've spoke about the crystal before on the channel, but I'll speak about it before again. It's like someone could say online or in a book, alright, you've had some bad luck, or you want to improve your luck, carry some green aventurine with you. Now yes, green aventurine is a stone that's great for luck and brings good opportunities, but I know this because I've meditated with it and connected with its energy. I've had some beautiful experiences. But at the end of the day, and I share my personal gnosis about crystals and plants here, but I still encourage you to meditate with them yourself, to connect with them, because you could say, okay, for people say this is a lucky crystal, but then if you just take that crystal and you go, I'm going to use it for luck, but you've not meditated with it, you've not connected with its energy, then, and you've got no emotional connection with that crystal, because you might just buy a crystal for the sake of it, because someone told you it's good for luck and you felt you needed luck. And though yes, it has got connected to that, that's just when you just follow something blindly, like you're just blowing cinnamon at the front of the door, you just buy a crystal that you were told was lucky, but you never felt drawn to that crystal. Like, you never felt drawn to it, you know? You never felt drawn to it, connected to it. And that's why when it comes to crystals, I get there's a lot of amazing websites that do crystals, but I would highly recommend when you're going to buy crystals, go to a metaphysical shop, have a look around, and see what catches your eyes. Does the colour of a Pacific crystal draw you in? Does the colour of it? Does the shape draw you in? And then as you pick that crystal up, you can read in books, of course, where its metaphorical properties are. You can watch videos on it where its metaphorical properties are. But I would highly recommend, that's what I used to do when I started out. I would buy crystals I felt drawn to. One of the crystals I believe I got as a gift, but I also was very drawn to, it was amethyst. So like when I went to metaphysical shops, I loved amethyst, and anywhere I could go, I collected it. I got this big, it was from my art teacher, it was like sort of my role model. He had this big, beautiful piece of amethyst. This big, beautiful piece. I'm sure he gave it to me. I'm not sure if it was him that gave it to me or I just found it in a metaphysical. I'm sure he did give it to me though. It was this big, beautiful cluster of amethyst, and he gave it to me as a gift. And it was beautiful. I think there was a piece of amethyst that he had, and I was very drawn to it, and he gave it to me, and I love it. I still have it to this day. But I meditated with that piece of amethyst. I was drawn to it. I loved the colour, and purple is my favourite colour. And this is my bedroom, so that's why there's purple in the background, you can see. But amethyst is a beautiful purple stone, so I was drawn to it. And I meditated with it, I connected with its energy, and the experience of it was absolutely amazing. And I work with amethyst now, because to me amethyst is a great stone for psychic development, for protection. And then when it comes to personal gnosis, there's a lot of people that have worked with amethyst, and they've had similar experiences to me, and you... and you might have worked with amethyst and you've had a similar experience. You find that amethyst is very good for, it connects with your heart chakra, your throat, your third eye, your crown. You might experience that. You might find that amethyst is a crystal that's really relaxing, calming, or it wakes you up psychically and helps you have deep meditational experiences, or it helps you astral project, or it helps you have psychic dreams. Or it helps you waking up psychically, or it helps with your psychic gifts and abilities. That's what I've experienced with amethyst, but you may have had a similar experience. And that's the thing here, but the message I'm trying to get. But when we do things, we want to have a heartfelt connection with it. And there's a beautiful shop in Glasgow that I've been to, and I do support it when I can. Whenever I'm in Glasgow, I always have a look, and it's called Osiris, so it's named after the Egyptian god of the underworld, Osiris. But it sells a lot of beautiful crystals. And when I went in there last year, I had a wee look around. I went in myself. It was around about Christmas time. I went in myself, had a little look about, and a few crystals caught my eye. I love rose quartz. There's a nice piece of that I got. A crystal I've never heard of, but I will talk about it on the channel. I was drawn to the colours of it. Never knew the name of it, but I got the little letter with it, because in the shop they give you a little card if they've got it. So I took the card with it, bought that crystal, and then one what is just in my collection, but I was drawn to it. It's a purple stone as well. I've got it in the Oracle deck, but it's called Labradorite. And I love it, and it's helped me out a lot. And I feel, because I've meditated with Labradorite for 8 days, I feel Labradorite is a great crystal for helping you manifest your dreams and your desires, but it also helps with your psychic gifts and abilities as well. And it helps with your intuition. But it also is this crystal that helps you feel calm and relaxed, and helps the nervous system be calm and relaxed as well. But that's the thing here. When I didn't know anything about Labradorite, I didn't read about it in books or anything. I just bought the crystal, decided to meditate with it for 8 days. and write down my personal gnosis as well. And that's how I learn about a lot of things when it comes to plants, crystals. I do read about them in books and spiritual books, but I think are very useful. But at the end of the day, I don't just like a great book that's out there is Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. It's a great book, and he explains in the book like the gender of a plant, meaning if it corresponds strongly with the masculine divine or the feminine divine, and what planet or planets it connects to, what element, and that's useful. And then he explains the magical properties of a plant. And most plants are good for like protection, healing, healing, love, and money. Most plants are good for those things, but they bring these things in a different aspect, a different way as well. And every plant's got a different energy to it. But I would really say it's not useful to just read a book, say, alright, even sunflowers, like, we know what sunflowers look like the sun, and they're associated with the sun and fire, but you could meditate with sunflowers, and for you, they correspond with, like, Venus, or they correspond with water, or they correspond with a different planet, a different element, because you've got a different connection with them, you know? And that's the message I'm making here. But someone could say online that basil's a fiery herb, it connects with Mars. For me it does, and a lot of books do say the same, but for you it could be a completely different experience. So it's never useful just to practice the craft blindly, to just follow a trend you've read in line, just do a spell willy-nilly. It's never useful, that. It's important you've got a personal connection to what you're doing. Some people, like, even though rose quartz is a crystal of love, and for me it is a crystal of love based on my personal experience, but for some people, they may feel what amethyst is more of a stone for love for them, or what emerald is more of a stone, or adentrine for someone might be more of a stone of love. So they decide, you as a practitioner may have meditated with a particular crystal or a particular plant, and for you that plant is get a deeper and spiritual connection with love. So if you were to do it, if you're single and you were trying to attract a loving partner into your life, it would be best to use ingredients and what you feel personally connect to that energy of love as well, rather than just reading in a book, alright, this book says get a pink candle, anoint candle with this oil, and then anoint it with rosemary, rose, lavender, this type of thing. Whereas if you just follow it blindly, you've got there's no emotion going into this, no intent, and the ingredients you're using don't symbolise money and wealth to you, they don't connect with that energy, then your spell is just a textbook spell. It's and if there's no energy and intention going into it, then you just have a candle that's been anointed and just some herbs. That's all you've got, you know. So it's important not to just follow a trend. When you do magic and spell work, you know why you're doing it personally. Like if I was going to do a spell for happiness, I would use oregano, because to me that is a herb of happiness and joy. Or if I wanted something to happen, but in a happy way, I would use oregano, because for me personally, oregano is a herb of happiness and joy, based on my energy and experience of it. And cinnamon, I love cinnamon, and for me cinnamon connects to Jupiter, the element fire, and it is good for lots of things, cinnamon. But when I use it in a money spell, it's like I'm invoking that Jupiter energy. I want the money to grow and expand, so that's why I include cinnamon in a money working. And for me, personally, you can't have a money spell without cinnamon. Now, of course, for a practitioner, you could go, for me, Nicholas, if you're a practicing witch like me, you could go, yes, Nicholas, I agree with you, I love cinnamon, and I use it because of its Jupiter energy, or for me, I love the smell and it resonates with money for me. But for you, for another practitioner, you could hate the smell of cinnamon, and for you, you find it very repulsive, so you might use it in a banishing working or to remove something, and that's completely understandable as well. So it's important never just to follow a trend, just to do something because you read in a book or someone told you to do it. It's important to understand why you're doing this, why you personally follow doing this, why are you using that crystal or crystals, why are you using those ingredients. Because if you've got a personal connection and understanding of why you're doing this, and the ritual and the spells, they mean something to you, and if you've got a personal connection with them, they're going to mean a lot more to you. So my tip, to close this video today, my tip as a practicing witch is to do the craft from your heart. When you do workings, make sure with the rituals, the spells, the ingredients you use, you've got a personal connection to them, and you understand why you're doing it, and you've got your why behind it, and it feels right in your heart and soul to use cinnamon in a money spell, or mint, or you know why you're doing it, and you know your why, you understand why you're doing things this way, you understand the ingredients, and you're emotionally attached to what you're doing, because a spell which got heart and emotion in it is, and where you believe in what you're doing, you believe in these ingredients, these crystals, you get an emotional connection to them, is going to be much more powerful than some type of trendy spell you read in a book, or some trendy spell which someone told you on social media, or some trendy ritual. Like a ritual which get personal meaning and depth, and you understand the why, it's going to have much more meaning for you when you do it. But a ritual which someone else has done, and they know their why, or maybe they don't. Sometimes people share information, but they don't know why they're doing this. They're just sharing it because it's trendy, and they want to get likes, they want to get views. So they're just sharing something that's trendy. And that's not helpful to any beginner witch, or even more advanced practitioners. It's still not helpful information to just follow a trend, or to follow something because it's trendy. And a lot of beginners when you're a beginner, you're hungry for information, and a lot of people might take advantage of that, but you're new to the craft, you're new to these things, and they want you to they'll share a trendy ritual with you, or trendy information, because it gets them views, it gets them likes, and then you're listening to someone and following someone blindly, thinking they know what they're talking about, they know what they're on about, when really they don't. They're just wanting trends, wanting followers. They don't actually want to help people. So, and as I'm an eclectic practicing witch myself, I do want to help people. That's why when I talk about witchcraft and a lot of information here, I give it away for free to help people as well. And that's what I'm talking about today. And don't just do something because it looks trendy, or because you read it in a book. Make sure you've got a connection to what you're doing, and you understand why you're doing what you're doing as well. Until next time, stay safe, look after yourself, and walk your spiritual path with pride. And if you're a practicing witch with me, stay witch. You may meet, may part, meet again. Blessed be.